Hello everyone, Alteredmaybe here, and today I want to make a one last review about NieR Automata now that I have the ending E on my badge. Knowing what I know now, I also want to take a look at the mid-game retrospective that I made 3 months ago. For anyone who's unfamiliar with it, I made a video 3 months ago when I was on my journey to the B ending, and I put all my crazy ideas and theories about the game into this video, and the purpose of that was to be able to go back to it when everything is over, so now, and to see how close to the truth I was, or was I just bullshitting. So heads up, obviously I will be talking a lot in this video, so if watching a girl ramble about her thoughts about a game is not your cup of tea, obviously this video is not for you. Let's meet in the gameplay videos. Before we start looking at my past theories, I just want to say how precious this game is. I don't think it's everyone's cup of tea because I think it prioritizes the feelings of the player and the existential queries over a satisfying character resolution, but for the feelings that it made me feel, it is so precious and unique. The soundtrack is so beautiful and so carefully placed throughout the game, so you know exactly what the developers wants you to feel or think. At times it comes very subconscious to you, and at times it's very crystal clear and you're very aware of it. Like this song that plays in the A ending will forever haunt me, because every time the game started to play that song, the song where Tubi had to kill NieR the first time, I mean, first time for us. So that loss, that pain, that obligation lives with me. My baby!
Please, Tubi.
Of course you fucking goddammit!
To do this for me.
I have the similar feelings for the soundtrack of the E ending as well. Like, don't get me wrong, I always liked that song, I always find it very beautiful, but after the E ending, that song is so precious to me. It has way more meaning now, it is more than a beautiful song, there are so many feelings attached to those single notes. God damn it. Give up here. No. Rescue offer received from Zaya. What? My efforts of Sweden. Hi. Accept offer. What do you mean? Are you serious right now? And I think the game does this very well. The game lets you connect the context to the sounds and the feelings in a very carefully crafted way, so it is very hard not to be impressed. And of course, I will not forget, this cannot continue. If you watch my playthrough, you know that is my actual favorite. Banger. I mean, at least it's with my favorite soundtrack, but it still feels sad. It is actually such a interesting soundtrack because it is upbeat, it always plays in this endless fight sequences, so it kind of fuels you up to fight because it has an amazing beat, and I love that, and you have to hear it over and over again while you're in this eternal battle, and it immediately, subconsciously and consciously makes you think, shit, yes, this cannot continue, but yet here we are in the same battle over and over again, but this cannot continue. Speaking of endless battles, I have to be honest here, I did not enjoy all the battles. I cannot say I enjoy the playthrough from beginning to the end, because this game has some fight sequences that are too long, way too long for their own good. Like, I really wanted to quit at times because I did not understand why this was taking forever. In the beginning, I even thought it was an error on the developer's part to keep these sequences this long. I thought they didn't realize that the player wouldn't be enjoying to be fighting this long. Like the flooded city sequence where we had to help to missile supply mission. Come on! Die already! And it's not even to kill you, huh? This is just to deactivate your shield. Please tell me this was the last of it. Wait! This is not over? Nines? Report from mission, please! This is an endless boss fight from what I understand. God! How many more? I mean, probably I will fast forward most of it because it's just visual noise. Like, that sequence was so long that I started to feel claustrophobic, if that word explains the situation. What I mean by that is, by its nature, in this game, you cannot just save and quit. You cannot just say like, I don't feel like going on to this fight, so I'm just gonna save and continue another day. No, that's not an option. You can only save at the designated points, at designated time frames, and in the middle of a fight, if you decide like, fuck it, I'm gonna quit, okay, you can. But the next time, you will start it all over again, right from the beginning. So there is no giving breaks during a fight sequence. And like I say, I thought this was an error, I thought this was a logical mistake, but looking back, I don't think it was. I think it was very, very, very intentional and quite clever, if I have to be honest. Cause I am pretty sure those moments were there for us to empathize with the characters to the maximum. Because imagine there, in that moment, I hate this fight. I did it before, this is happening the millionth time. Fuck this fight, fuck machines, I just wanna go home. I just wanna get out of this sequence. But I'm trapped. I have to fight. I have to go through this perpetual cycle over and over again. Just like 2B, just like 9S, just like A2. I have to be in this. So I think these are the moments that you connect the characters the most. Even the characters make those comments. So that's why I'm saying I think the developers are very well aware what they're doing. So those desperations you feel are very in line with the game. It's not like the game wanted you to enjoy it and you don't, so it's a mistake. But it was a very risky choice, I have to tell you that. I'm telling you, there were so many moments I get so close to quitting. Am I so glad that I didn't? Yes, thank God I didn't quit. Was an interesting decision. Now I am happy about this decision, but it was a risky choice. Similar situation exists in the actual ending sequences of the game because the game refuses to finish. To be fair, I thought the B ending would be very boring because essentially you have to play the game all over again, but due to the character change and the additional details we get, it actually is a unique experience. And at this point, you start to wonder, what are we doing? Is this ever going to end? Which are all valid questions if you ask me, but then again, these questions are so deep that I don't know how fair it is to expect an answer from Yoko Taro. Like, yes, I think it's fair for you to expect answers from the game you're playing, but the game you're playing has so many existential questions parallel to the real world. Yeah, nobody has those answers, so obviously the game cannot give us those. So I think at the end of the day, I think Yoko Taro had some existential questions on his own and wanted to share them with us. He just didn't want to be alone in that journey. I mean, of course, ending E has a lot to play in these thoughts I have now. Ending E shaped me in a way that I didn't expect, because I don't think I ever encounter an ending like ending E. I don't mean to say I didn't enjoy any other game ending as much as I enjoy ending E. That's not what I'm saying. There were a lot of games that I enjoy and I love so much and I enjoy the ending, but usually at the end of a game, the joy you feel or the happiness you feel comes from the character's resolution. You're happy for your character. At the end of Witcher 3 Wild Hunt, I was so happy. Like, I was so fucking happy because Geralt was happy, he was with Yen, everything was happening in the way I wanted to happen, so it was a very happy ending for my characters that I cared deeply about. What is different in NieR Automata is that you're not actually happy about your characters because there's nothing to be happy about. There is no resolution. I mean, I don't call it a resolution. It's not like your characters live happily ever after, or there is hope for anything better. All the characters you cared about is gone. So what is there to be happy about? But ending E makes the player happy. Like, as a player, I was so fucking happy because the game showed me the lowest low possible and I was sure we were gonna go lower, and then like it dragged me up so hard, so unexpectedly, that I couldn't believe the joy I was feeling. At that moment, it wasn't about A2 2B, no. It was about Alteredmaybe not being alone. God, this is so beautiful. After all the negativity of the game and the hopelessness, this is the plot twist you're pulling on me. I need you more than ever right now. And that was the greatest joy I could have ever felt. Yes, I get emotional just by thinking about it. And that feeling of not being alone was so precious. I keep remembering Devil and Popola's words to Nines, like, don't die alone. And we were going to die alone. I think toward the ending, I was asking in every single episode, why are we doing this? With each passing episode, I clearly understood that there cannot be a happy ending. Like, I couldn't see it. So if there is no happy ending, what are we doing? Like, that was my question. Why are we fighting war? That's where the ending C actually came to my rescue before ending E, because it reminded me that it wasn't about the ending. Like, because the life is beautiful. Yes, life is cruel and meaningless at times. We don't know the answers, but at the end of the day, life is actually so fucking beautiful. Like, it didn't resolve anything per se, other than giving us a peaceful resolution to A2 story. But if you think about it, Nines is still alive, probably out of his memory, in a world where we don't know. Are the machines gone? What is gonna happen? Like, there's still so many questions left unanswered there, so it's not exactly a resolution, but it is the ending that reminds you life is about love, the laughter of people, the sunshine, the things that A2 gets to see now that the revenge curtain is out of the way. And that's why, actually, from the character resolution point of view, ending C is my favorite ending. To watch 2B manifest herself one last time to Nines, to caress him, like that touch he was longing for the whole time that 2B was gone, like that is a resolution. That is a resolution on its own. It doesn't have to be about the story, but it is a resolution of the character arcs. But yet again, to say ending C is my favorite ending is not exactly technically correct, because I don't acknowledge the existence of the ending D. Ending D was an obligation for me. Like, I wanted to see what the developers have in store, and to be fair, what I thought was that it was going to be like the previous endings, because this game didn't have a choice before. Like, ending A and then ending B was a continuation of the story of ending A. Then ending C is the continuation of ending B. So I assume ending D is like the aftermath of ending C, because in the ending C, theoretically NieR is alive, so I thought ending D will be just the adventure of us discovering the side story of NieR after survival. Even if it's too short, even if we briefly witness that he's in the resistance camp and loss of memory, for example. What I was not expecting, and you can tell if you watch the video, for the ending to change. But at the end of the day, she won!
Take care of NieR.
To be.
What? What? The ending changes? Great! Amazing ending! Love it! And that tells me the ending D is basically the wrong ending. Like, it is the ending you get when you make the wrong choice, in my opinion. It is the ending that follows when you choose NieR's revenge over A2's compassion, and I think it is the wrong choice, and I think the game thinks it's the wrong choice, because we lose both of the characters in the most gruesome way possible. Like, A2 only dies because the 2B in her is upset that A2 betrayed her, because they had a deal. She was supposed to protect NieR, she wasn't supposed to execute him. Yes, I know NieR deserved that, because what are you gonna do if a little maniac is attacking you and is not gonna stop until you are dead? I'm not sure. But that's why I'm saying it's the wrong choice, because we clearly knew as a player that NieR is not at the right mind and somebody needs to help him. And we were hoping, I was hoping, that someone was going to be A2, and in the D ending, that does not happen. I guess we can say the only good thing that comes out of this ending is the peaceful resolution that NieR comes down to in his delusional state. So after all these endings, as the player, what are you left with? Did we win? Like, did we win? Don't get me wrong, I was not disappointed per se, because earlier on I already realized there wasn't going to be a happy ending. That I'm just underlying this for you to see the mindset I entered to the final credit sequence that initiates the ending E. In all the hopelessness and isolation, in all the dark thoughts the game made you feel, now the game is telling you that you're not alone. Not only that, it's showing you you're not alone. This is actual people who managed to get through the ending and now is there to help you with it. It makes you feel such a hope, which was a surprise, because I remember when I was going in to play the ending sequences, I told my boyfriend, like, I'm going in, I'm gonna play NieR Automata, and I'm gonna cry a lot, because probably so many sad shit is going to happen. And when I get out, I was red from crying all over, so he was like, okay, what happened? Was it that sad? And I was like, no, it was fucking beautiful. Like, to change my feeling from one way to the other this way is magic, is talent, is beautiful writing. That's what it is. Okay, I was not expecting to talk this long about how I feel about the endings, but apparently I had so many things I want to say, and I hope they were interesting for you, cause I wanted to share them with someone who cares. So thank you. If you're still here, thank you. Without further ado, let's move to the second part of the video, where we take a look at the claims I made in the mid-game retrospective, and let's see if I was right, wrong, close to the truth, or not, together. In the mid-game retrospective, I kinda tried to title them under 4 headings, but the problem with that is actually all these headings had multiple claims under them. So in this one, I'm just gonna try to go claim by claim, so it will be easy to talk about. Shorter? I don't think so, but easier. If you're interested, let's get to it, shall we? This theory was essentially me claiming that there is a loop connection between A2 to 2B to A2. So in my theory back then, I assumed there was multiple 2B bodies with different save files, and different life experiences would lead them to become A2 eventually. So essentially the idea was every 2B was going to become A2 some point of the story. But since I was aware A2 is also an older model, the conclusion I came down to was this. But A2 is an entity that came before 2B, so at best what could be is that we had the body of A2, we wiped it as it was a strong android model, so it can be used for humanity, which gave birth to 2B itself. Looking back, I am actually very surprised how did I manage to come a conclusion that is very close to truth, because the origin of the idea was not exactly close to the truth itself, but for this statement wise, I think it's fair to say that I was right. Well, except the greatness of number 2 didn't exactly give rise to 2B, it actually gave rise to the executioner model, which ironically was sent after to A2 at the end of everything. But there was no way I could have known about it back then. And it wouldn't be fair for me to say that this whole claim is actually right, because at the end of the day, my claim was 2B was eventually gonna become A2. This also was rooted in the attitude of 2B, because we all observed like there was this asshole vibe in 2B. Like I was aware she was not an asshole. It was clear that she had her own motives to be acting cold, but I interpret those motives as an hatred toward humanity, hatred toward command, so I thought she would rebel at one point. But that actually never happened. Like 2B literally never abandoned the mission. I don't think she ever went against command. Even when she did, she explained her reasons, and the reasons of her was the benefit of the command. So no, they are not connected in a loop sense in the way I imagined them to be. Like we can argue that A2 kind of become 2B in the end, but again, that is not the same thing. I think A2 become someone else manifesting together with 2B. But can I say the whole loop theory is wrong? I'm gonna go on to a conspiracy tangent here again. Not much has changed in 3 months. I mean, yes, it was wrong in the A2 to be A2 loop sense, but the ending E literally ends with us spanning over the world as we started the game, with 2B and 9S lying on the floor as if after a black box incident, with A2 with her long luscious hair sitting in a corner of an abandoned building, so as if everything is resetted so the world can start over again. So at the end of the day, it feels like a loop, just like the machines do. Because we learned about these machine tendency in their documents, like they would play a narrative closer to the human scenario over and over again, and they would fail each time, but they wouldn't change anything as well, as if the failure itself was the whole point of the experience.
I dive deeper into the records. I can find no indication of the machines creating new cultures or values. They only imitate human behavior. The strange thing is, if a unit fails, it fails in exactly the same way the next time. For example, if a machine forms a dictatorship that eventually collapses, it won't try a new type of government, it just forms a new dictatorship. Or if it plants crops and they die, it just tries the same thing again. And again, and again. They keep performing the same behaviors. They don't ever learn. When it comes to combat, the machines show overwhelming adaptive behavior and evolutionary speed. So why do they insist on imitating humanity? And more specifically, why do they imitate their failures? It's almost as if the objective is failure itself.
And that sentiment started to resonate even more with me now. I think we are talking about this game. Another claim I had in this loop theory title was the use of memory wipe as a tool to control the androids and YorHa. That's essentially how I theorized A2 was resetted back to being 2B. This was also probably rooted in the fact that when I did the mid-game retrospective, I was still traumatized by that stupid resistance girl that was wiping her boyfriend's brain 6 million times to achieve the perfect boyfriend or something. I'm still mad about it. Throughout the game, we meet with a lot of characters that reset their memories, either because they're so sad about it, either because they cannot go on with life with what they remember and they want a fresh start. So me trying to terrorize about memory wipe and try to put in context is not all that surprising to me. But to be fair, these memory wipe sequences that we encounter in the side quest area was relatively peaceful. You know, it even looked so simple because all NieR had to do was to hack into some stuff and then voila, we were ready. Everything was sugar and spice. It was so easy that I was almost sure the command would use the same tool to control their soldiers. But even though I'm not entirely sure, I think I was wrong about this. Because the way command interferes with the thoughts they disapprove or the behaviors that they disapprove is way more cruel than a simple hacking. That's why they have executioner models for some reason. Like 2B's job is literally kill NieR over and over again when NieR finds out the truth. Whatever that truth entails. And I don't understand why necessarily, because if hacking is that easy, why there is not a scanner model specifically dedicated just to scan the shit out of memories of other YorHa units? Why do we need to kill them? If we can wipe the memory of our boyfriend 100 times, I think we can wipe the memories of YorHa units as well. The same cruelty mindset actually goes for the release of the new models too. Why don't we have a system in place where when we believe that the YorHa models came to the point where we need to release the new models, why there is not a system just to turn them fucking off? Why does it have to be like explode the shit out of bunker and traumatize everyone and risk having survivors actually, essentially? Either the initial humans who designed the systems were psychos, or they were a bit incompetent and they couldn't figure out the technicalities to make the system less cruel. But knowing what they did to Popol and Devola, my vote is for the prior. Don't get me wrong. The system is surprisingly functioning well, so when I mean that they're psychos, I don't mean they're stupid. I will make a weird tangent here, but initially I was very mad about the Popol and Devola storyline. Like, I couldn't understand why would there be a generation of guilt in these poor twin android models? Why were they even blamed for the failure of the Gestalt project? Because it wasn't even their fault. Like, it was the fault of the system, and who designed the system? Humans! So Popol and Devola, in my opinion, has nothing to do with the failure of the Gestalt project. They were observers and they observed. That's what they did. But the more I think about it, the more I find meaning in this very cruel action. Like, I guess I can say that I can see what they were trying to experiment with this rather faulty models. I mean, they deemed it faulty, I don't, but I think it's a bit of a reference to Jesus died for our sins situation. Because I think it would be fair to say this constant generation of guilt in Popola and Devola actually resulted in these models ready for action. Like, to the task that nobody wants to do, Popola and Devola were assigned, and they continue to do it. They don't object about it because they have guilt, because they have sins they want to redeem themselves from. And for the greater good, this is an amazing tool to have, because you know that when the time comes, if they need to sacrifice themselves, they would sacrifice themselves without a doubt in their head. And I find it poetic and meaningful, but also very fucking cruel. But like I say, I understand. So just wanted to clarify what I meant by psycho here. Psycho doesn't necessarily mean that I don't get what they do, but I also think that is very, very, very cruel what they do. So going back to the original statement at hand, was I right to assume the command is utilizing memory wipe as a tool to control the YorHa units? Well, it's kinda no, because they were executing them, not wiping them. But also kinda yes, because at the end of the day, executing them results in a memory wipe and a reborn of the same model with a fresh baby memory. So I leave the decision up to you. You guys decide if the statement is correct or not, or somewhere in between. In the mid-game retrospective, when I was watching the in-game trailer, I was very confused about which character I was looking at, but because I had the loop theory in mind, like in the sense that 2B was gonna essentially become A2 anyway, I stick out to the A2 scenario. And if you think about it, it was actually both of them at the end of the day. Like, cause it wasn't the A2 that I know of when I was talking about this, cause the A2, long luscious hair A2, is another character than A2 plus 2B one. Matter of fact, the first thing A2 does when she takes over the memories of 2B is to cut her luscious hair. At the moment of playing that moment, I actually find it very odd. Like, there's this dramatic sequence happening, NieR is falling over a bridge, and the first thing that A2 does is like, let me cut my hair. Like, that was very odd at that moment.
Linus will not understand that it was willing.
To me. No.
It was A2.
But I think it was the game's way of telling us this transition is more than just giving memories. I think like we have a character that is fused with 2B's memories, so what the character we have now is a merger of A2 with 2B. So the confirmation later arrived, but I think that initial moment of cutting hair is just to tell that there is a dramatic change in the character is happening. So it's just to visualize for everyone to see. In the initial video, I had a separate chapter where I was discussing the name issues I have with the game. I tried to understand the name patterns, I tried to understand why it wasn't 2A, but it was A2, only to come to the following conclusion. So either she was 2A and they started calling her A2 after she abandoned YorHa to kinda underline the fact that she's different, she's a rebel, or she was just number 2. like the first model of number 2. Maybe at a time where they didn't need the letters because there was, I don't know, model number 1 and model number 2. Which ties to the second issue I have. If A2 and 2B are number 2, who's number 1? Which now we know to be true. I also thought there would be a great mystery revelation about who number 1 is or what happened to number 1, but it was a rather calm revelation in the sense that yes, number 1 was supposed to be the leader. She was designed to be the leader of the team that number 2 was part of, but thanks to the 14th Machine War Descent Pearl Harbor, I hope I'm remembering the name correctly, that we read that story and we learned that number 1 actually passed away, so the number 2 had to assume the captain duties. Now that I'm thinking about it, remember who else had to do that?
Okay, it's been ages!
7E down.
I haven't played anything like this. Get up! Guys, come on!
1D down. Assuming captain's duties.
Oh. Okay.
But that's what I'm talking about. The game constantly draws parallels between characters. Like what happened in the Pearl Harbor Descent. The captain died, the number 2 had to assume the captain responsibilities, but at the end of all of it, everybody else died. A2 was the only survivor. A2 had to watch all her teammates die one by one. That was the end of it, and the game literally opens with us as 2B losing everyone that we ever had in our team. Huge respect to the game developers, really. I mean, see, this is so beautiful to be finding these patterns all over. If you believe there is a parallel I missed, please tell me, because it brings me so much joy to see them. Like, I'm so happy right now that I made this realization. Okay, I went to a totally another tangent again, but yes, so coming back to the original point at hand, yes, number 2 proved the situation, which gave rise to the executioner model. So 2B is essentially an updated model of A2, and by update, I mean I think they also added a few more of codes there to keep 2B in line, because no matter how frustrated she gets, she always sticks to the duty, unlike A2. A2 said fuck it and went away a long time ago, so I think they fixed that problem in the update, together with the Berserker mode.
Perhaps we're not so different after all.
Well, back in the mid-game retrospective, this was more of a statement that I was agreeing and I was trying to demonstrate why I agree with the statement more than a claim. And today, as I'm standing, I agree with this statement still, maybe even more. I think this game is all about showing how all these enemy parties are actually not so different after all. Essentially, I think the message is to reflect on the humanity situation as well. We are not so different from each other. We always have some common points, but yet again, we keep fighting, and I think that's is the actual message beyond all of this. But the game achieves this by giving us constant parallels. Like, there's always some parallel between characters, like machine characters and android characters, and sometimes even android characters to android characters, but you get the point. There are a lot of parallels in this game. Between 2B and 9S, between Adam and 2B, between Eve and 9S, between aliens, humans, androids, machines, and anyone you can think of. The similarities could be as simple as Adam bleeding. It's the greatest revelation ever, because fuck, they are like us, but that's a statement they cannot accept, and through the whole game they are trying to deny this statement. They can try all they want, but we know that they are not so different after all. Both androids and machines love, both of them care, both of them try to protect what they love, and both of them gets frustrated when the world takes what they love the most away from them. They all search for a meaning to survive, and if you take the meaning away from them, they both don't know what the fuck to do.
I know you two feel the same. That this world is utterly meaningless.
I mean, kinda.
As far as I'm concerned, my brother was everything.
I know.
And now, everything must die! Shut up, shut up, shut up! Fine then. I'll just destroy it.
Destroy what?
If it all goes away, that'll solve everything!
My sixth claim was the fact that 2B hates humanity. Well, this is a tough one to dissect actually, because I am still not sure to this day. In the sense that back in the day, I lacked so many background information. I didn't know that she was E. I didn't know she was literally stuck in this cycle where she had to kill what she probably cared not the most but a lot over and over again, because I think what she cared the most is the command at the end of the day, because that's what the meaningless code she has dictates her to do. But in the beginning, when I see 2B's frustration, when I see her clenching her fist to the glory to mankind, I automatically jump to conclusion that 2B probably hates humanity and just wants to kill the god that put her in this perpetual cycle. Now I'm not sure if that is hatred. I don't think she's allowed to hate humanity. I mean, I'm not saying I was completely wrong, because I think there was a clear dislike to what humanity put in place. Because at the end of the day, we also read documents of Devil and Popola and how they think humanity was so cruel to put this duty upon them, but that never stopped them from doing the duty itself. Because at the end of the day, like I say, it is their code. So I don't think they can hate, but I can say that they probably dislike the situation a lot. I also don't want to say that this was a correct statement, because when I was making that statement, like I say, my idea was that 2B is so full with hatred that she's gonna initiate a rebel that will give born to this sequence that we see in the trailer where Command seems to be attacking someone. Like in my mid-game retrospective, I was expecting 2B to be a bomb ready to explode, so when I see that attacking sequence, I assume that 2B was going to rebel and the Command was gonna attack her, and that's how that sequence was going to be initiated. Actually, you can see my surprise, I think, in the gameplay itself as well, because when the scene actually played out, I was expecting the 2B to either run away or start attacking Command, because like I told you, I thought she was resentful and I thought she wanted out. But instead, she goes above and beyond to protect the Commander. And I did not see that coming.
2B? 9S? What are you doing here?
The YorHa units on the ground were infected by a virus. We had to detonate our black boxes in order to stop them.
A virus? What are you talking about? None of our ground units reported anything about a virus.
That's because all communication with the bunker has been severed.
And why did you leave the battlefield anyway? I didn't order a retreat.
We're telling you, YorHa has gone berserk!
No. If anyone is acting infected here, it's you.
Are you nuts?
Are you infected too?
2B, 9S. You're being detained under suspicion of virus contamination.
Wait a minute!
The moment has arrived. Now you believe us?
Bingo!
Are you happy? No, the operators too!
They're infected?
I like how am I trying to save the Commander still?
Commander, we have to go!
Her sense of duty was way more stronger than I anticipated, and I was it's fair to say that I was wrong about how she feels toward this whole ordeal.
It always ends like this.
Looking back and listening to me obsess over this one tiny little sentence, to be fair, obsess over the word always amazes me, because even back in the day, I am very well aware that always might be referring to the fact that Nines tend to die some unfortunate deaths and lose her memory, resulting in 2B to lose a friend. But I wasn't satisfied with that explanation. Like, it was clear to me there was something more to that statement. What I didn't see coming at all is how we were losing Nines. Like, even in my wildest dreams, even when I said that there was something more to it, I didn't think the action of killing was the ending that we always come down to. I thought it always ends like us losing Nines, not us killing Nines over and over again. So suddenly all the coldness and asshole behavior of 2B is obviously understood. It is just a strategy to protect herself and maybe even Nines actually. Because think about it, like I told a million of times, so I don't want to repeat it too much, but like if you put a distance between you and Nines, maybe when you have to kill Nines you will be less sad. But also maybe if you can keep your distance and keep Nines in check, like the leader you are, maybe he wouldn't die this time, he wouldn't have to be killed this time. But of course we know that is not happening because Nines is so curious by nature that he always finds out, and 2B cares about Nines too much that she cannot keep the facade for too long. Like she can do in the beginning, but I think as soon as Nines starts to become familiar to the Nines she knows, those walls start to melt. The funny part in all of this is that when I was recording the mid-game retrospective, I thought I was overthinking. I thought these were conspiracy theories. I thought people who are watching it will think that I'm mad because I was overreaching. And I wasn't. That is the funny part. Like, I wasn't thinking enough actually at the end of the day. Especially this idea, like humanity not existing. I remember thinking about including in the video or not because I felt insane for even thinking about it. My theory back then was it was very well possible that the command is actually hiding from us, that the humanity no longer exists. Because it has been hundreds of years, this war has continued for ages. I didn't think that the humanity can survive that long. Plus, it wasn't the first thing that command was hiding from us, because also aliens are dead, information has been hidden from the rest of the resistance, let's say, so they could have very well be hiding the humanity situation as well. The only reason I wasn't that convinced about the hypothesis is that I couldn't see the motivation behind it. Like, I couldn't see the motive of hiding this information or continuing the fight if humanity actually no longer exists. At the end of the day, I think there were two main reasons that made me think this. A, because it's NieR Automata. I thought it would be a big plot twist, and this game seemed like a game that loves plot twists, and can you say that I was wrong? And B, like, humanity was not involved in shit. Like, think about it, we have the technology, like, there is an immense technology on this earth, but we don't see a face of humanity. They don't comment on the things that are happening, they're not meddling with affairs. Are we talking about the same humanity that I know of? If they were on the moon, for sure they will meddle with every affair possible, but there was complete silence. The only evidence of the humanity that we have, there is the robotic conversation of Council of Humanity, and B, some occasional mails signed with Council of Humanity, because probably they are just AI generated shit to keep the lie going. Because at the end of the day, when they were planning this system, they know they wouldn't exist, so they try to put systems in place to perpetuate the lie. Before I move to conclusions, I want to share 5 of the confusions I have. And one of those confusions is what A2 actually means by Command betraying her. Essentially, I want to know what 2B knows and what A2 knows to its full extent. I don't want to hypothesize about it, I want to know the truth. Like, we are never specifically told what 2B knows. Did she know that the humanity no longer exists? But then, why wasn't she assigned to kill Nines right at the point when it was very clear Nines knows humanity no longer exists? Like, the command literally confirmed that in a very peaceful way to Nines. I thought there would be denial because this is a secret that they're trying to hide in the end, but it was a very peaceful exchange of information, and the command was like, yep, it's up to you to decide what you want to do with this information.
You left quite a trail when you accessed the main server.
That's what I wanted to speak with you about, Commander. I found records stating that the Council of Humanity was established as part of Project YorHa, but I'd always heard it was the other way around. So did YorHa actually create the Council of Humanity?
Yes. We installed the Council of Humanity's server on the surface of the moon.
But that means...
Mankind no longer exists.
I said
In
it!
truth, humans never went to the moon at all.
Oh.
Any transmissions received from the moon are just dummy signals we set up in advance. The only thing there is a small bit of data relating to the human genome.
But why would you...
Humans were already extinct when the aliens attacked. All the details are stored on this memory chip. If you want to look at it, I won't stop you.
You won't stop me? Are you gonna eliminate me? Are you gonna delete me from this world? Like, is she gonna let me in on this data and gonna delete me?
Wait, you're just giving me this? But why?
No one fights without a reason. And we need a god worth dying for. What path will you take? It's up to you to decide.
It's the command that betrayed you.
And I'm like, how the hell does he have a choice? And if he has a choice, why there is an executioner on his tail? Like, when is the time that we decide, yep, Nines has to go? Is it like when he actually starts taking action? So yeah, is there a scenario where Nines takes action? Or is it as simple as Nines telling what he knows to 2B? So if like Nines was to confess, was 2B going to be forced to execute Nines at that very exact moment? Or this order of execution is just postponed because there was onward to war situation? But precisely because of that Command and Nines conversation, I am actually confused about what 2B knows and how does this execution situation is played out. I mean, don't get me wrong, at one side I am happy that we don't know, but a part of me really desperately wants to know what the fuck was all of that about. Same annoyance exists with the A2 situation as well, because when we first met with A2 tells us it's not me who betrayed you, it's the command that betrayed us. Or betrayed you, I don't remember specifically, but I will put it here.
You wanna talk? You wanna say something?
Why?
Explain yourself!
Why did you betray us?
Command is the one that betrayed you. So then, what happened to Command? Number 2, go! I can handle— No! Number 4!
Like, I can see why A2 would feel betrayed, considering that she was left alone on her own tools at the Machine War Descent 14 Pearl Harbor situation, but that doesn't necessarily mean that the command betrayed the whole YorHa units and everyone involved, so she must have known something more. But like, she didn't know how to hack, so she cannot access the documents like Nines does, like a scanner model does, let's say. And she didn't have the 2B's memories to connect the pieces. She even come to the final resolution and connection of E, 2B and everything in the library. So what did she know at that stage to go against Command and claim that Command betrayed everyone involved, let's say. Because I cannot see how would she know that humanity doesn't exist. But at the end of the day, it's also mentioned that her critical thinking abilities are off the chart, so maybe she managed to deduce it with what she saw during the war times. That could be, but the fact that we don't know it solidly for sure is a little bit of annoyance that I have, but I mean, I can live with it. It's not that great of an annoyance, but I just wanted to say that okay, not everything is sugar and spice, I still have some confusions, but do I want to dwell on them? Not really. Like, maybe if I think about it, I can find more stuff, but at the end of the day, I don't want to. Because like I say, I think in the beginning of the ending video, it doesn't matter, because I don't think it's about how every dot connects to each other, it's about how you feel. I think that is the essence of this game. So yes, there might be some details that I'm missing, but as long as I understand the overall feeling and the sentiment that the game is trying to give me, I think we would be fine. That's what I think. So to conclude, even at the mid-game retrospective, I was very well aware there wasn't going to be a happy ending for our characters. What will we find in the end? I have zero clue, but I know it's gonna be heartbreaking. I don't expect anything less from this game. I think it's gonna be beautiful, but it's gonna be deeply heartbreaking. Because what kind of a happy ending can there be if you think logically about it? Oh, all the machines are gone. Like, is that supposed to make us happy? Because now we know we are not so different after all, so would I be that happy to know their complete annihilation? But more than that, then what? Then androids are gonna live peacefully ever after on planet Earth? Aren't they gonna expect the humanity to come back? What's gonna happen when humanity doesn't come back? What is gonna happen to a bunch of android now that is left without a purpose? Are they gonna turn on each other? Is that what's gonna happen? Maybe there's another phase of the project where now it's all about research so we can get the humanity back to their bodies so that they can come back to Earth. But is that a good ending for androids? Do you think for a second androids will continue to survive in a world where humans are back? They're just tools. They will be unplugged and that will be the end of it. So that's not a good ending for androids as well. And should I consider the humanity's return to Earth as the ultimate happy ending just because I'm human? Yeah, I don't do that. Not really. I mean, would I love a world where androids and machines living peacefully together and where Nines buys a t-shirt for to be make me happy? Yes, that would be my happy ending. That would be my sugar-coated princess ending. But would it be a realistic ending to this story? No, it wouldn't, and we all know that.
I can't believe the size of the commercial facility. The people of the old world must have led pretty good lives. I bet it was fun to shop back when you had so many choices.
We don't need such things.
Don't be so sure about that. Once we eradicate the machine life forms, us soldiers won't have anything left to do. We'll enter a new age of peace. And when that happens, we should go shopping together.
Aww.
I could buy you, I don't know, a t-shirt maybe? Something that looks good on you.
A t-shirt?
What, not interested?
When that day comes, I'm all for it.
That's a promise, right?
Yep.
You promised? You promised!
So no, there was no potential happy ending that I could have seen back then, so the ending was no surprise on that matter. What was surprising though was the ending to be actually a beautiful ending despite not being a happy ending. I can say that for the C too. It's not necessarily like this sugar-coated happy ending, but it is a good ending. An ending that I find peace in, let's put it that way. Also, before I finish, just want to make one little tiny other tangent. At one point, I was actually expecting this whole android situation to be a playing field for the machines. Because androids have the machine black box in them, because The idea to explode the bunker when the time comes oddly corresponded with how the bunker went down, so I'm like, Council of Humanity is below YorHa, and we assume that the humanity planned this all, but what if it is the machines above all of them? So I was expecting this one last very cruel plot twist toward the end, but it didn't arrive, and I'm very, very, very happy that it didn't arrive. Okay, before I go to another tangent, let me stop here. I know I talk for too long, and if you're still here hearing me say this, thank you. Thank you, because that means that I actually achieved my goal in opening a YouTube channel. Because if you look at my subscriber count, you would easily realize that I'm not a big gamer, not a big influencer, but I do enjoy doing this because there's so much joy in sharing my experience with people who care about those games. Like, we are essentially playing together, and I know we are on the same page. So we are a community, we are not alone, and I love that. I didn't think I would fall in love with that feeling, but I did. So again, I'm going to a tangent, but all I wanted to say is thank you for not leaving me alone on this journey. If you have anything that you wish to let me know, please write them in the comments below. Like, was there a parallel you saw that make you so excited? Because I talk about what excites me, but I still don't know what excites you. So share them with me. I love to have a discussion about this game and all the games that we are sharing together on this channel. The next game will probably be a Nordic adventure because the cold weather is inspiring me go to those storylines. If you want to be there with me on those journeys, make sure you subscribe, and I'll see you in the next video. Bye!
I never quite realized how beautiful this world is. I'm coming, everyone. I'm coming.